Hi everyone, I'm Bill Holkham, and today we are off to Savannah, Georgia to paint this dreamy watercolor landscape, visiting ibis birds, trees, and a peaceful pond, and even a rainbow. I've got tons of pro tips and secrets to help you bring this scene to life. You can download the free sketch in the description and paint along with me, or just follow the process and make the painting your own. So grab your supplies and let's get painting. Let's start with the mop brush and some clear water in different parts of the sky, coming down to the far bank area, because I will then be having an interesting sky, not too complicated. So that's Winsor blue then, coming in here and there, leaving gaps. I don't want the sky to be complicated. Two reasons. There will be a rainbow coming in from the left hand side, but there will also be lots of trees, all different colours and so forth, and shapes. So you don't need a very complicated sky in that situation. It would be too much of a conflict between the sky and the landscape. Plus, of course, the rainbow that I mentioned. So that left-hand side, I'm keeping purposefully quite light, since that will receive the rainbow. So still working wet in wet. You can then add a slightly stronger version of your Winsor blue in a few places, not too much. If necessary, but I don't think it is, you can add a little bit of your red to it to strengthen it, but I wouldn't really bother about that. And you'll see occasionally I will use a tissue to take off excess moisture and pigment from the brush, which then enables me to fuse in the clouds. So I've drawn the colours of the rainbow using the watercolour pencils, and I recommend Generals by Kimberly. You will see a link for it. When you go to my Instagram, Let's Paint Watercolors, there's a link tree and it shows all the materials. And it's made in USA and is non-toxic, so it's excellent. So you lay down those colours, carefully making sure you have the correct colours for the band of the rainbow. And then once you've done that, you go over with your brush and some clear water. And then these colours will nicely fuse. Then I've gone to a small brush, number 5 on this occasion, and I would mention here that you often find that different makes of brushes have their number for the brush, and they can vary quite significantly between one make and another make as to the actual size of the brush compared to the number that they give it. So I've laid down some yellow first of all, remembering all the time in transparent watercolors we start with light, we go to dark. So I've laid down light colors, on top of those I've laid down darker colors, and I'm just gradually building up. So those light colors are effectively an underpainting. All I'm making sure that I avoid when I do this is that where there are various tree trunks that I want to stand out, to be distinctive, then I paint around them, known as negative painting. So painting around an area that you wish to leave either the white of the paper, or if you lay down one wash, going to lay another wash, but want to leave something, maybe the facade of a building or something that has already had an initial wash, then that's negative painting. And here and there you'll see when I lay down these various colours, I do use the side of the brush scraping technique, and I'm purposefully leaving gaps here and there in the foliage, especially towards the top of the various trees and bushes. This makes for interesting shape, and adds to the realism. With this particular painting, there is a lot going on. There's much to grab your attention. You'll see one part of the painting, and then you'll like that, and then you'll go to another part and see different variations, and then you'll look at it another day and see things you hadn't noticed the first time, and so forth. It's a very busy painting, and you'll see that even more so when we get to painting the pond and the ibis birds at the pond. So here and there I have used a hairdryer to dry off the pigments, which then enables me to lay down the darker colour on top of the lighter colour using the scraping technique and get very much giving texture. And this is, as you know from the list of materials, the Arches, also pronounced Arch, 300-pound weight rough paper. So it doesn't need to be taped down. Don't need to wet it first and dry it to make it taut. It is very resilient, and this one is a nice rough surface. You will notice sometimes I only tape the bottom of the paper or a couple of tiny little bits on a couple of corners, just so that it stays in one position for convenience for when doing these tutorials and videoing them, that the paper's not moving around all over the place, which would be distracting for the recording of the video. And here and there you'll see I'm stippling to break up shapes, make things interesting, stippling and using the side of the brush scraping. So you don't need too many colours for this painting. A lot of your colours always can be made up from the three primary colours: your blue, your yellow and your red. For the pond and reflections in the pond, you can start with some clear water, and then you can use your flat brush, and you can use your really small one to maintain control with downward strokes of the brush for reflections taking place in the pond. And bear in mind the contrasts of the light and the dark, and also bear in mind that here and there you're leaving some white, the negative painting, for the trunks of trees. I've also painted around on the far bank the ibis, leaving the white of the paper, negative painting, because as I've emphasized many times, I like to use the white of the paper for my whites, the English style of painting transparent watercolors. Now, right near the very end, on this occasion, I'll use a tiny amount of gouache or Chinese white opaque color just to cover up the pencil lines on the bodies of the ibis so that everything blends in nicely, but they are the white of the paper. There are a few little lily pads on that far side, which adds a bit of extra interest, so they've been included. And the ibis are allowed to come a little way into the pond because there are little shallow sections and little growth taking place, etc., of things like the weeds and lily pads and so forth. With that smaller brush on these near side ibis, you can very much see me now painting around them, leaving the white of the paper. It's so much more convincing and effective when you can use the white of the paper. And here's that little bit of white pigment taking place, and I'm primarily covering up all those pencil lines so that the birds look realistic. And they have a very distinctive shape, beak, so they can only really mainly be confused with storks. And it is useful as well to use the flat brush to show some ripples in the pond now that those reflections have dried, and I have a little bit of reflection for the far side of the pond ibis. This pond is in Savannah, Georgia. For the foreground area, I'm laying down some pure Winsor Yellow to start with, using my number 12 round brush over the whole of that area. And then, whilst it's wet, I'll come in with some green wash, Winsor Blue and Winsor Yellow. Just start at the bottom area, the land closest to you, and gradually work your way up. That way you ensure that it's lighter in the distance. You can still use your number 12 at this stage. Still wet in wet, just building that up even more. Then this is an underpainting, and then once that's dried, we use the same colours, just variations in tone, to give a little bit more texture to the grass. And here and there we can lightly paint it with not much pressure on the brush, and also use the scraping technique. We're getting towards the end now. Please remember to like and subscribe and tell your friends about our channel. And here it is, a beautiful pond with ibis in Savannah, Georgia. I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you next time.